Barefoot Bandit. Colton Harris Moore was a teenager from a quiet island who became very famous for all the wrong reasons. Most teenagers spend their time going to school and hanging out with friends. Colton decided to spend his time running away from the police. He was known as the Barefoot Bandit because he often did not wear shoes. This is the unbelievable documentary story of his crazy adventure. Colton grew up in the Pacific Northwest, surrounded by huge green forests and deep blue water. He spent a lot of time outside in the woods by himself. He learned how to survive in the wilderness, which helped him later when he was hiding. He was very smart, but he used his intelligence to break the rules. He started sneaking into empty cabins to find food and blankets. Instead of just taking snacks, Colton began taking much bigger things. He figured out how to start cars and boats without having the keys. He would take them for joyrides across the water and through the woods. He left a trail of footprints behind him everywhere he went. The local police started looking for the mysterious barefoot teenager. Colton's biggest dream was to fly high up in the sky. He did not go to a special flight school to learn how to fly airplanes. Instead, he read flight manuals that he found online and played computer flight games. He paid close attention to how the controls worked on the screen. He was convinced that he could fly a real airplane all by himself. One night, he sneaked onto a small, quiet airport runway. He found an airplane, climbed inside, and started the engine just like in the games. Amazingly, he managed to take off and fly the plane through the dark sky. He flew it for a long time before finally landing in a completely different place. The police were shocked that a teenager had figured out how to fly. He did this several times, taking different small airplanes and flying them far away. He became a huge mystery to the people trying to catch him. He was like a ghost, slipping away just when the police thought they were close. He spent months hiding deep in the thick forests where no one could easily find him. He set up small camps and lived off the things he found in cabins. The story of the Barefoot Bandit started to spread all across the country. Many people thought his wild adventure sounded like a movie and wanted to hear more. Some people even started making fan clubs and wearing t-shirts with his name on them, but the police knew that breaking the law was very dangerous and not a joke. They worked with the FBI to set up a massive search for him. Colton was very careful not to be seen during the day. He moved silently through the trees at night, always staying one step ahead. He even left funny notes and took pictures of himself with cameras he found. He seemed to enjoy outsmarting the adults who were trying to find him, but constantly running and hiding is a very tiring and lonely way to live. He managed to travel across many different states by driving and flying. He never stayed in one place for very long, so he would not get caught. He slept in the woods, under tarps, and sometimes inside empty vacation homes. He was always looking over his shoulder, wondering when the police would arrive. His adventure was exciting, but he could never truly relax. Eventually, Colton decided he needed to leave the country entirely. He found another airplane and flew it all the way out over the ocean. He aimed for the warm, sunny islands of the Bahamas, far away from the dark forests. It was a very dangerous flight over open water in a small plane. Miraculously, he made it to the islands without crashing. When he landed in the Bahamas, the plane was badly damaged and could not fly again. He had to run away from the crash site and find a new place to hide. He thought he would be safe on the tropical islands, far from the FBI, but the local police in the Bahamas had already heard about the famous Barefoot Bandit. They were actively looking for him on the sunny beaches. Colton realized that the islands were much harder to hide on than the huge forests. He tried to blend in, but he was a stranger running out of options. He sneaked onto a boat to try to sail to a different island, but the local police quickly spotted the boat and chased after him across the water. It was the final chapter of his long run. The police chased the boat and finally managed to stop the engine. Colton had nowhere left to run and nowhere left to hide. After years of running through forests, driving cars, and flying planes, he gave up. He was finally arrested and put into handcuffs by the police. The long, wild chase of the Barefoot Bandit was officially over. He was sent back to the United States to face a judge for all the rules he broke, because he had taken so many things and caused so much trouble. The judge was very strict. Colton was sent to a secure prison for a long time. He had to trade the open sky for a small cell with thick metal bars. His days of flying without a license were completely finished. During his time in prison, Colton had a lot of time to think about his choices. He realized that living a life on the run was a big mistake. He decided he wanted to change his ways and do something better with his smarts. He focused on reading and learning new things while he served his sentence. He wanted to be a better person when he finally got out. His crazy story teaches us that even if you are very clever, breaking the law never works out. It might seem fun and exciting at first, like a big game of hide and seek. But taking things that do not belong to you always leads to very serious trouble. You can never truly be free if you're always looking over your shoulder. It is always better to follow the rules. If Colton had used his amazing ability to learn for good things, he could have been anything. He could have gone to school and become a real licensed pilot. Instead, he had to spend his young adult years locked away in a prison. It is a sad reminder that our choices shape our entire future. We must choose to use our talents to help people, not take from them. Today, the story of the Barefoot Bandit is still told to remind people about the consequences of crime. People still talk about the teenager who taught himself to fly airplanes. It remains one of the most unbelievable true stories in modern history. But it is not a story about a hero. It is a story about a massive mistake. Freedom is something you have to earn by doing the right thing. As you grow up, you will have many choices to make about how to use your own talents. Always remember that the smartest choice is the one that builds a good future. Do not try to take shortcuts or break the rules just for a quick thrill. Work hard, be honest, and you will achieve great things without having to hide. And maybe, just maybe, remember to wear your shoes. The end of the Barefoot Bandit's adventure shows that the law always catches up. He tried his best to outrun the police, but nobody can run forever. Now he must rebuild his life the right way. One honest step at a time. Thank you for reading this incredible documentary story. Always remember to stay safe, follow the rules, and make good choices. Glossary, documentary, a factual story about real people and real events. Wilderness, a wild and natural area where no people live, like a deep forest. Survive, to stay alive and keep going, even in a very hard situation. Mysterious, hard to understand or explain, full of secrets. Manual, a book that gives instructions on how to do something. Convinced, being completely sure that something is true. Runway, a long, flat road where airplanes take off and land. Mystery, something that is confusing and hard to figure out. Massive, very, very large and heavy. Outsmart, to beat someone by being more clever or tricky than they are. Glossary continued. Tarp, a large sheet of strong plastic used to cover and protect things. Miraculously, happening in a way that is very surprising and lucky. Tropical, a very warm and sunny place near the middle of the earth. Arrested, when the police catch someone for breaking the law. Handcuffs, metal rings placed on wrists to stop a person from moving their hands. Strict, demanding that rules must be followed exactly. Consequence, the result or punishment that happens because of a choice you made. Unbelievable, so amazing or strange that it is hard to think it is true. Thrill, a sudden feeling of excitement and joy. Honest, telling the truth and not stealing or cheating.